Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Sunday, April 22nd. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, as we take a look at Sunday's late pick four. No stakes race, so we'll just jump right into the sixth race. It's a starter allowance for 3-year-olds going long on the turf, a mile and an eighth. I did not have much luck narrowing this down. How about you?
Narrowed down to 4.
That's one more than I did.
Well, I could be talked into going almost all here if I could find a single later in the sequence, but I really couldn't find a single, so went back and redid it. I've got 4 horses here. I used Cullum Road, the one for George Weaver, coming off a maiden 50 win at Gulfstream and stretching out to a mile and 8. And George Weaver is a great turf trainer from New York, and I think he's got. This is only his 3rd starter at the Keeneland meet, but this horse is going in the right direction. They had to drop it down to 50,000 to win, but he didn't catch a very strong field here. I think the 5, I guess it's WW. I try to pronounce that thing W Doobie, but it's not really Doobie, so I guess it's WW. It's just spelled wrong. Michelle Lovell trainer, again, the horse is going the right direction. Broke its maiden, 2nd time out. Looked like it had a nice future, even though it was a $30,000 claimer at Churchill. Then it's been stuck in the optional 50,000 level for a while, and the buyers look okay in a couple of seconds in a row, and Bashisa rides back. So the reason to use that one, the 7, Keeneland for Brad Cox and Giroux, always put them in. Brad 7 for 16 before yesterday. And then Brendan Walsh's horse has the best buyer figures, Bantu, the 8, coming out of the Gulfstream race. Never been this long, but appears to want the extra distance. It's Joe Rocco instead of Jose Ortiz, which is not a move up. So I think the 4 horses there, that's where I'm going to go with it. If I take a win bet, maybe Bantu for Brendan Walsh because of the numbers, but I'm going to go 4 deep in the pick 4 when we get to that.
Yeah, same 4. In fact, Bantu is the one I ended up going to a win pick just because he looks like he's in his best form of his life. And there was one other one I'm going to use in the pick 4, that's Come On Dover, just because it was much improved in the maiden win for Kenny McPeak. So same ones you mentioned, plus Come On Dover is what I like in there. 7th race, non-winners of 2 allowance, 6 furlongs, and this, again, is restricted to 3-year-olds. And I went back and forth here. I ended up on Dreamer's Point off the 4th to Magnum Moon, and then turning back from the 4th to Magnum Moon last year, and then turning back in distance. So I thought that one intrigued me. Grade 1, caught some tough fields, has an experience edge. I'm kind of trying to go against the impressive debut winners, trying to beat those. I think those horses will take a lot of money. I'm going to try to find a horse with a little experience to upset them. So Dreamer's Point and Grade 1 I like about equally. If I had to pick one, I guess I'd go Dreamer's Point. And then Auto Strayed, I think that's how it's pronounced, and Chaos Theory, the 1 and the 3, both impressive debut winners I would have to use as well. How about you?
I used Auto Strayed. I thought that was an impressive debut at Gulfstream only a little over a month ago. So he was the favorite that day for Pletcher and Velasquez, and another late developing 3-year-old, I guess, that didn't start at 2, but Pletcher's got a barn full of them. Pletcher's been very cold at Keeneland, so maybe this one gets him turned around. And I didn't use the other horses that you used. I used Shang Royal, the 5 for Wesley Ward, coming out of the stakes race at Gulfstream, where he only ran 2 lengths out of it, and has had actually 2 good starts in a row. That's a turf race going to dirt, but he had a dirt race where he broke his maiden at Belmont back in July. So use Shang Royal here. So I'm going to stick with those 2. Auto Strayed would be my top pick just off that 85 debut buyer.
The 8th race is an allowance, the allowance feature, non-winners of 1 other than at a 1.5 miles on the turf course. And got a nice sized field, and here you're led by a Chad Brown horse. And I will tell you that I think this horse has worked with Call Provision, been working with Call Provision, so pay attention to how Call Provision does in the Saturday stake in the Elkhorn in evaluating Focus Group, the 11. But you're going to try to beat Focus Group?
I'm going to use him. I'm going to use one other horse with him. This was the one I almost narrowed down to a single because Chad's horses have been so live here going into yesterday's races, he's 10 for 18. That's a 56% strike rate. That's pretty strong for a trainer. But, of course, he's 31% year-long. His horses have all been ready to run. I think we saw a couple here on Friday that didn't fire. But until that, every horse he had was in the race. And I think Focus Group looks the best here, but been off since October. So there's a reason to maybe think he'll need one, except Chad gets him ready. I went with Solio, the 5, along with Focus Group, the 11. I thought the race that he had here was on a very yielding turf course on opening weekend, and maybe just didn't take to it. Didn't run that well, but I really liked him that day, and I think his form fits this race. If you take that soft turf off, which you probably won't get, we're going to have a beautiful weekend, so the turf will certainly be firm by Sunday when this race is run. So I'm going to use Solio and Focus Group. I think Focus Group probably for the win bet, but those two in Exacta box and use them in the pick 4.
I'm right with you on those two. I talked to Ken Ramsey and his grandson, who's the assistant trainer, and they were saying that Solio is better on a firm turf. So I think you're spot on with your guess there on he had a dislike for that course he got opening weekend, and I think he can run back to those previous races and have a shot against Focus Group. Focus Group's my pick to win it, but I'm going to use just 2 in the pick 4 when we get to that. Last race is a maiden claimer around 2 turns at a mile and a 16th. I ended up first instinct was to go with Brad Cox's horse, the 6, but I ended up going to Charlie Lepresti down on the rail. Lepresti's horses have been outrunning their odds. This horse has a pedigree to like dirt, and what sealed it was the sharp work here on the 10th of April for the Narrowing Way, number 1. Strategic Ekati is my second choice with Cox and Giroux. Strong combo there. And then Honor Mission for Kenny McPeak out on the outside in the 10 hole. I'm going to use that one as well. If I went one more, it'd be Time for War, but I think I'm just going to use those 3 on my pick 4 ticket. How about you?
I'm 4 deep here, and I did use Strategic Ekati for Brad Cox, and then I used the 3 of the outside horses. Of course, this field has 16 in, so somebody could draw in off the also eligible. I think right on Fates for Rosario and Zito, although Zito is as cold as anybody I've ever seen here. But back numbers I would think that horse could fit here, and even possibly Awesome Times 2 for Alvarado and John Ortiz. But if it stays the 12 that are going, we use Strategic Ekati the 6, and then Honor Mission the 10. Potomac the 11 would probably be my second choice. I ran in a maiden 20 here on opening weekend, and had a bad start and still went to the lead and kind of gave it up at the end, but finished second. Not a bad effort in a 69 buyer, so running back a second race over the track helps. So I'm going to use Potomac. And Colonel's Pride for just Larry Jones and Gabriel Saez because they've been so good this meet. Gabriel Saez is 6 for 25 going into yesterday. So I'm going to use 6, 10, 11, 12. So if you want me to recap my pick 4 now.
Give us your pick 4.
Do that. My pick 4 is 6th race, 1578, Cullum Road, WW, Killeen, and Bantu, with 2 horses in the second. All those Trade and Shang Royal, the 1 and the 5. 3rd race, I used the 5 and the 11, Solio and Focus Group. And then the 4th race, I used 6, 10, 11, 12, Strategic Ekati, Honor Mission, Potomac, and Colonel's Pride. So I'm 4 by 2 by 2. I also added in, I singled in Gary Park, the 7. So I used 5 horses there. So I'm 4 by 2 by 2 by 5 for $40.
I've got 1, 5, 7, 8, 9. So one more than you had in the first leg. I've got 1, 2, 3, 8 in the second leg. The 2 impressive debut winners and the 2 others with some experience. 5 and 11 Solio and Focus Group in the 8th race, and then in the 9th I am using 3 of them, 1, 6, and 10. So I'm 5 by 4 by 2 by 3, which I think is $60 for 50 cents. Couldn't identify a single in there. If you want to single the Chad Brown, you could go a little deeper in some of the other races. But we wish you luck with your Sunday wagers. This is into the home stretch of the spring meet. After this Sunday card, just 3 days left in the spring racing meet here at Keeneland. And we'll be here every day to give you a podcast to the stake or the late pick 4. So we'll see you next on Wednesday for the In the Money podcast from KeenelandSelect.com.